Queen Elizabeth I left hidden messages on her portraits, which you can uncover if you know where to look. Yes, the Virgin Queen took a lot of effort for her portraits to look exactly like she imagined them. And since there was no Facebook, Instagram, or TikTok to let everyone know what you were thinking about, she used what she could, and paintings were there to help. At least 135 of them. Stay till the end of this video and find all you need to know about how Queen Elizabeth's portraits changed through time and what she wanted to say with some tiny details. Spoiler alert, there were no irrelevant details and everything was calculated. One thing is sure, with so many portraits in the 16th century, I think it's safe to say we are lucky she didn't have Instagram, because we would be seeing new photos a few times a day. Well, better to see a queen than a Kardashian. Elizabeth Tudor was the second daughter of King Henry VIII, and the only one with Anne Boleyn. She spent her youth back and forth as legitimate and illegitimate. Her relationship with her father wasn't the best, since he cut her off from her mother, literally with a sword on her mother's neck. Elizabeth didn't enjoy it when her brother Edward was king, but at least she wasn't imprisoned like when her sister Mary was the queen. After their deaths, Elizabeth became the ruling monarch and ruled England from 1558 until 1603. During her reign, she changed many things, and portraits also changed. Ever since she was a princess, she didn't like any artist to have the exclusive privilege to paint her portraits, but many of the paintings are similar. Every artist needed to follow certain rules to paint her image, and Elizabeth rarely posed for portraits. It was important to capture her eternal beauty and virtue, not her physical beauty. Who said she was ugly? Off with their heads. Illegitimate Princess, 1546. Unknown artist. This painting represents Elizabeth as an illegitimate child, never destined to be the ruling monarch, wearing a red dress. Small details like royal jewellery advertise her as a suitable bride for a new alliance, and books show her intelligent side, since she spoke 7 languages. Simple portraits in contrast with later, much more detailed ones. It looks like a tagged photo, and others are profile pictures. Regina, 1560. Unknown artist. I won! I am the queen now! I mean, the word Regina is written on the portrait. All jokes aside, this painting was made to show us she was fully capable of ruling. White ermine fur was reserved for royalty, and now I am the royalty. And we can see some familiar features like a narrow nose and pale skin, but not so many details as in her later portraits. And the painting changed a lot through the centuries since its background was originally blue, and now it's yellow. If we compare it to the previous portrait, it is pretty clear that this one isn't made for dating ads. Who said that about the Queen? Off with their heads. The Darnley portrait, 1575, unknown European artist. Ladies and gentlemen, I present the famous painting of Queen Elizabeth. Famous Darnley portrait that got its name after the previous owner and is most certainly painted by an artist from the Netherlands. If Elizabeth's face from here looks similar to the previous one, that's because she used patterns for her face. She never left anything to the artist's imagination, and used this pattern for almost all the portraits for the rest of her life. Here, the shit got real. And Elizabeth wanted to show the crown and scepter as symbols of sovereignty. At that time, she probably made up her mind about getting married. Richard III offered a kingdom for a horse, but Elizabeth didn't want to trade her kingdom for a husband. Civ portrait, 1583. Quentin Mestis the Younger. This particular painting is part of a series of Civ portraits in the late 1570s and early 80s. Why Civ? Civ represents a symbol of Vestal virgins, Roman priestesses who served the Roman goddess Vesta, goddess of earth. At that point, she wanted everyone to be sure she would not get married. And since sex without marriage was strictly forbidden, she had to remain a virgin. Imagine those rules today. Anyway, there are many theories why she decided to stay unmarried, and the most probable one is that she was afraid that she would lose her power in favor of her husband. And why wouldn't she love marriage? Her father was the perfect example of a loving, caring, and faithful marriage. Marriage is. The Hidden Serpent portrait, 1580 to 1590, unknown artist. The painting with the hidden message is this one. Since it faded a lot due to time past, it is revealed that Elizabeth originally wasn't holding roses in her hand, but a serpent. What a lovely surprise! Maybe that's why Elizabeth's smile is so mysterious in this painting. Now, a snake could represent a symbol of wisdom, but could also imply the original sin. So the painter had a last-minute change of heart. Original sin is not good for promoting new religion, and maybe someone helped the artist change his mind. The Armada portrait, 1588, unknown unknown English artist. A victorious painting to memorize the famous victory over Spain and end any fears of Philip II. With so many accessories, Elizabeth wanted to symbolize women's power and how Philip II couldn't reach her heights. In fact, there are 3 similar paintings, and we can see Elizabeth's pretensions, since her hand is on the globe and the defeated Spanish fleet behind her. It looks like this portrait was how she officially declared colonization on a full scale, and the white powder on her face was there to show her youngish beauty at age 56. I'm not sure if she knew the pale face seems that you are closer to the coffin than to youth. The Ditchley portrait, 1592, Marcus Gierates the Younger. A painting so much different than the others. The Queen is wearing all white colours and the storm is behind her, and clear sky is ahead. This portrait was ordered by one of the Queen's courtiers, who fell out of favour. Latin inscription says about her power and forgiveness, and her leg is on Oxfordshire Ditchley, to be precise, and the courtier had property there. It is one of the rare portraits for which Elizabeth posed and showed her as the most grandiose ever. I'm not saying he was a kiss-ass, but let's call him a teacher's pet. The rainbow portrait, early 1600s, Marcus Gierates the Younger. In one of her last portraits, Elizabeth looks much younger than she was, dressed for a mask, and with a serpent of wisdom, not hidden this time. But the integral part is the rainbow and Latin writing. No rainbow without the sun. The time when she needed to prove anything has long passed, and in this colourful portrait, Elizabeth showed that without her, there would be no peace. Like without the sun, there would be no rainbow. Pretty modest, but she was right. Just ask the Stuarts who ruled after her. You can ask the beheaded one. And how to read these hidden secrets and details from Elizabeth's portraits? Well, Mr. Bond, you need to have an eye for detail and know a lot about Elizabethan England. So read a bunch of history books, or better, come back regularly to my channel and here you will find all the information you need. Besides portraits, people recognised Queen Elizabeth from coins because every monarch forged their own coinage. And guess who could be the face on coins? Yes, you got it right, Elizabeth. And even there she emphasised strong currency with gold coins and Tudor rose. But that's not all, since Elizabeth was the face on the cover of the Standard Bible of the Church of England. Just to remind everyone whom they should thank for being able to practice their religion. Maybe she could add Mary's picture to represent the whole situation, or some execution that included a stake, or something like that. As we can see, Queen Elizabeth I never left anything to luck, and wanted to represent herself in the best possible light. Also, she wasn't afraid to use Photoshop and filters, at least the 16th century version filters. Portraits and coins with pictures of reigning monarchs were often used as propaganda, and Queen Elizabeth mastered that skill. When you think about it, even today, many watch Super Bowl just for the commercials. And don't get me started with the prices of advertisement time. Although she passed away more than 400 years ago, I would still rather watch Elizabeth's portraits than today's pre-election videos of any politician. Actually, I would rather watch anything other than vote for me videos.